Hey everyone, this is Isaac here from Locofy. By the end of this video, you'll learn how to tag your mobile app design and turn it into code using Locofy. Here we have a design for a travel booking mobile app, Flight, and we are going to go from a design like this to an app like this. You'll see here we have status bars, bottom tabs, drawers, and we also have interactive elements such as buttons, inputs, and more. And we are going to do all of this without writing any code. Before we get started, you want to make sure that you have Locofy installed and get the Locofy plugin. You'll find instructions to get started in the description below. Now, let's fire up the Locofy plugin. Click here on Resources, search for Locofy, and click Run. Once you fire up the plugin, you'll notice two sections, tagging global layers and tagging your other layers. So what is tagging? It's easy for us to recognize what kind of elements these are. For example, a button, an input, status bars, and so on. But to the computer, all it sees is some text, shapes, and images. Tagging lets you indicate to the Locofy plugin what kind of element it is, so that we can generate the code for you. Let's learn how to set up and tag a button. First, ensure that the button is created by using an auto layout frame with text inside. You should apply styling such as fill color and border radius and other styles to the frame itself. Avoid using a rectangle with text on top inside of a group, as that will result in unnecessary code. Now, select it and tag it as a button. In the Properties tab, you can add custom attributes if required. And in the Layouts tab, you'll take care of how this button is aligned, its padding, resizing, and size. It'll automatically read settings from Figma, but you can customize it further with additional properties that are not available in Figma, such as percentage width, min height, max height, and more. Take care of styling in the Styling tabs and add custom styling if required. Then in the Actions tab, we'll select a trigger. Let's go with press and add a opacity effect. Next, choose the change page action and link it to the search results page. And that's how you set up and tag your button. Now let's have a look at another example. Let's learn how to set up and tag a material design text input using the React Native paper library. Select the material text input on your design and tag it as a text input. We're using the outline variation, so we'll go ahead and select that. You'll notice that some properties are auto pre-populated by reading your Figma design, and you can continue to customize it. Let's add the airplane takeoff icon on the left. You can choose from over 1,000 material icons by clicking on this link. Next, in the Layout tab, you can customize its alignment and size, including settings such as percentage widths, as well as min and max width. We'll take care of styling in the Styling tab. Go ahead and set up the active and inactive outline color. Actions are not required for text inputs. And we're done. That's how you set up and tag a material design text input. Let me go ahead and tag the rest of these inputs and buttons. Awesome. Now that we've tagged a couple of layers, let's look at the difference between global layers and other layers. Global layers affect all of the screens on our designs, whereas tagging other layers only affects the tagged element itself. In global tags, we have screens and status bars. And what's really cool is that you can also set up navigation, such as bottom tabs and drawer menu. Setting up bottom tab navigation is easy. First, make sure that there are no layers selected on Figma. Then click on bottom tabs and select all of the bottom tabs on your screen. We'll hold down the Shift key and simply select all of them. And then click to proceed. For each tab in your bottom tabs, you'll need to have a normal state, an active state, and the contents which the tab should link to. You'll notice the plugin automatically reads the design to pre-populate some of these fields, and you can use this swap button to switch your active and normal state icons around. Now simply click Locate and select the correct layer in Figma and proceed. Then for content, click Locate, locate the screen you want to link to for this tab, and proceed. Now simply do the same for all of the other tabs. In Layouts, check the Safe Area View option to ensure that it's not blocked by interface items such as the iPhone bottom bar. And you can customize styling in the Styling tabs if required. You've now successfully set up your bottom tab navigation for your mobile app. Now let's go ahead and set up drawer menu navigation, and you'll realize that the process is very similar to the bottom tab navigation setup. Here's how you set up drawer menu navigation. Make sure you don't have any layer selected on Figma, then click on Drawer and locate your drawer menu. For each drawer menu option, you need a normal state, active state, and the content which the menu option should link to. Click Locate, choose the correct layer in Figma, and proceed. If you don't have a different design for the normal and active states, you can go ahead and choose the same elements for both states. Next, set up the contents by clicking Locate and select the screen you want this menu option to link to. Click Proceed, and we'll set up a few options. In Layouts, go ahead and check the Safe Area View option to ensure that it's not blocked by interface items such as the iPhone notch. Then, customize styling in the Styling tabs if required. We've now set up the drawer menu navigation. To set up a button to toggle the drawer, simply select it and tag it as a button. In the Actions tab, choose Toggle Drawer as an action. You've now successfully set up your entire drawer navigation. Next, let's look at another tag with a similar process, but it's not a global tag. And that's this custom top tabs which you see here. To set up custom top tabs, choose the entire tab bar and tag it as a top tab. Switch this to custom top tabs, and now we can set up the normal and active states for each tab, as well as select what content to show for it. Some elements have been automatically pre-populated by reading the design, and you can swap the icons around with this button. Now we'll go ahead to locate the appropriate icons for each state. Then let's choose what content to show for each tab. Click Locate and select the layer you want to show for the first tab. Then do the same for the second tab. And that's how you set up custom top tabs in your mobile app. We're almost done with tagging our mobile app design. Let's have a quick look to see what's left. Over here we have some sections where the content overflows. This is quite typical for mobile designs which have very limited width, and we want to ensure that it's scrollable in the app. Here's how to make your content scrollable. Ensure all of your content is put into a single frame or auto layout frame. This frame will likely exceed the width of your mobile device, and you'll want it to stay within. You can do this by resizing the frame to bring its width down, or you can use a setting like Fill Container to ensure it stays within the mobile width. Now select this frame and tag it as a scroll view. You can set its scrolling direction. In this case, it's horizontal. And you can go ahead to further customize its properties. We'll turn off the scroll indicators. We've now successfully set up our scrollable contents. Perfect. Now remaining we have our splash screens and status bars. The splash screen is the screen which stays on for a short period of time once the app is opened. To set a design as your splash screen, simply select the frame and tag it as a splash screen. Now decide how long you want the splash screen to show for, and you're done. Finally, let's tag our status bars. Ensure that you're not selecting any layer in Figma, then click on status bar. You'll be asked to locate all of your status bars on the design. Hold down the Shift key and select them. Once you've gotten all of the status bars, click Proceed. In status bars properties, you can choose to use a global setting for your status bar or override these settings for individual status bars. You can change options such as background color on Android, as well as toggle translucency and choose your bar style. Then click Done. Now that we're done tagging our design, let's go ahead and sync it to Locofy Builder, where we can view code, view the prototype, and do a couple more settings. Select the items that we want to sync and click on View Code. Then choose View Code in Builder. Once the sync is done, click on this button to open up Locofy Builder in a new tab. Welcome to the Locofy Builder. In here, there's a couple of things that you can do. Firstly, you can view your code. Secondly, you can easily make components and add props for dynamic content. Third, you can view and share a live responsive prototype. And finally, you can also export your code, of course. So, the first thing I'll go through is to view your code. As you can see on the left panel, we have the code for our screen, the Explore screen. And you can also tweak your framework settings by clicking on this gear icon over here. And you can toggle between TypeScript and JavaScript. Next, I'll show you how you can easily make components and add props for dynamic content. For example, for these cards over here, we might want to populate them dynamically, so we'll turn it into a component. So select it, then click over here on Make Component, give it a name, Destination Card works, and we'll click Create. You'll notice over here that the component code is generated on the fly, and you can see a new destination card.tsx. Now let's add some props for this component. We'll go ahead and select Add Value Prop, and we'll want this Borroke text to be populated dynamically. So we'll choose Borroke and choose the value attribute. Now give it a name. Let's call it Destination Title, and we'll click Save. Perfect. Now that we have added a prop, you'll notice that it is also reflected inside of the code. A new destination title prop has been included. We'll now select another card which we want to use as the same component. So click on Make Component, and instead of creating a new component, we'll choose an existing one. So choose Select. And you'll notice that instead of having to add these props one by one, Locofy has automatically noticed which items need to be changed across the cards, such as the title, the location, the number of days, and the image, and as such generated the props automatically for you. So that's how you can easily create components and props for dynamic content. Now let me show you how you can easily view and share a live responsive prototype. Click on View Prototype, and then click here, Share. You can share either with a URL or by sending an email. We'll copy the URL and open it on a browser tab, and you can view it on any browser. For example, your desktop, tablets, or mobile browsers. As you can see, we have our design running on the browser. And now we can interact with it to see all of the settings that we have made. For example, we have our bottom tabs that are now working, along with our drawer menu. We've also set up a couple of these scrollables. The top tabs, which are working. And our inputs and button. With this live prototype that you can easily share, it's easier than ever to work with stakeholders and even conduct user research, all without writing a single line of code. you'll be able to have a live prototype that looks and feels exactly like your end product would. Now let's head back to the Locofy Builder to export our code. Back on the builder, let's go ahead and click on this blue export button. And you'll notice that there are a couple of settings that you can set up. You can set up your package name, your app name, as well as your app icon. Then you can choose your starting screen, which is the first screen that will be showing up after your splash screen, and we'll choose the explore page. Next, you can decide if you want to export all of the screens along with all of their components, or if you like to export individual components themselves. We can go ahead to choose all of our screens and then choose an export method. You can push your code directly to GitHub by connecting your GitHub account using your username and access token. Otherwise, if you need to make edits to your code, such as binding with data, you can go ahead to download the zip file. So we'll go ahead to do that, and we'll choose confirm export. Once the download has been completed, you'll be shown a couple of steps which you can use to open up the file and run it on your local device using a simulator. Follow the instructions over here in order to do so. Now let's head over to Visual Studio Code to run our exports. We're now in VS Code. Make sure that you have your environment set up before we run a couple of these commands. First, let's ensure that our packages are installed by running npm-i. Next, we'll head into the iOS folder and run pod install. Once that's done, head back to the parent folder, and now we can run npm run iOS. Our app is now running on the simulator. Let's go ahead and try out some of the settings we have made. Our bottom tabs are working. We also have our drawer menu. You can see that our scroll views are working. And we can head to search to try out our inputs and buttons. Our top tabs are also working. Now that we have our UI working perfectly, you can go ahead and add your logic layer, connect with backend, integrate with APIs, and so on. With that, you can see how we've gone from a Figma mobile app design, converted it to code, and learned how to export it so we can continue working on it. Typically, a design like this may take a week to 2 weeks to convert to code, but with Locofy, you'll be able to save 60 to 90% of that time. We hope that you enjoyed this guide on how to create your mobile app. If you have any questions, do leave them in the comments below, and we look forward to see what you'll build and ship faster using Locofy.